Chapter 1. The Job. For years, I've been working as a professional cleaner, specializing in old and abandoned properties. It's not a glamorous job, but it pays well, and I've always appreciated the solitude it brings. Each job is a new adventure, filled with dust, forgotten memories, and sometimes a sense of history that's almost palpable. But my latest assignment has left me shaken, questioning everything I thought I knew about the world. It all started when I was hired by a wealthy client to clean out a mansion that had been in his family for generations. The place was enormous, with countless rooms filled with dust and old furniture. My client gave me strict instructions to leave the attic alone, mentioning it was filled with old family memorabilia and that he would handle it himself. Curiosity, however, has always been my weakness. After a week of cleaning, I couldn't resist the urge to take a look. One afternoon, while my client was out, I found the narrow staircase leading up to the attic. The door was locked, but a thorough search through the house yielded an old key that fit perfectly. The attic was different from the rest of the house. It was dark and musty, with a single window covered in grime. As I moved my flashlight around, I noticed a strange, metallic smell in the air. The space was filled with old trunks and covered furniture, but one thing immediately caught my eye: a large, ornate mirror leaning against the far wall. The mirror was an antique, with an intricately carved frame that seemed out of place in the dusty attic. I approached it cautiously, my flashlight beam bouncing off the glass. As I got closer, I saw something move in the reflection. My heart skipped a beat, and I spun around, but there was nothing there. Turning back to the mirror, I felt my blood run cold. The reflection showed the attic as it was, but there was a figure standing behind me. A tall, shadowy man with glowing red eyes. A chill ran down my spine as the figure raised a hand and pointed directly at me. I stumbled back, knocking over an old trunk. The figure in the mirror started to move, slowly stepping closer. My instinct screamed at me to run, but my legs felt like lead. Just as the figure was about to reach the surface of the mirror, I snapped out of my paralysis and bolted for the door. I slammed the attic door shut behind me and locked it. My heart pounded in my chest as I leaned against the door, trying to catch my breath. I could hear faint whispers coming from the other side, but I couldn't make out any words. The metallic smell seemed to linger around me, clinging to my clothes. I decided to leave the mansion that night. I packed my things and left a note for my client, explaining that I couldn't continue the job. As I drove away, I glanced back at the house and saw a figure standing in the attic window, watching me. Chapter 2. The Revelation. A few days later, I received a frantic call from my client. He asked if I had gone into the attic. Hesitantly, I admitted that I had. He cursed under his breath and explained that the mirror had been in his family for centuries and that it was cursed. Anyone who saw the figure in the mirror was doomed to be haunted by it for the rest of their lives. I thought he was exaggerating, but the nightmares began almost immediately. Every night, I dreamt of the attic and the figure with the red eyes. I felt its cold presence watching me, waiting for the moment when I let my guard down. I moved twice since then, hoping to escape the haunting. But the dreams followed me wherever I went. Each night, I would see the same attic, the same mirror, and the same figure. The sense of dread was overwhelming. I tried everything to rid myself of the curse. I consulted with experts in the paranormal, burned sage, and even sought out priests to bless my home. Nothing worked. The figure was always there, lurking in the shadows of my dreams, watching and waiting. Chapter 3. The Desperation. Desperation led me to research the history of the mirror. I delved into old family records and spoke to historians, trying to uncover any information that might help me break the curse. What I found was chilling. The mirror was crafted in the 18th century by a renowned artisan who was said to dabble in dark arts. It was commissioned by an ancestor of my client, a man known for his ruthless and unscrupulous nature. Legend had it that the mirror was a conduit for a malevolent spirit, bound to serve and protect the family, but at a terrible cost. Throughout the years, there were numerous accounts of tragic and mysterious deaths associated with the mirror. Family members who gazed into it reported seeing the shadowy figure, always with the same glowing red eyes. Many believed the figure was the spirit of the artisan, cursed to remain within the mirror for eternity. I became obsessed with finding a way to destroy the mirror or at least break its hold over me. I contacted experts in occult practices and searched through ancient texts for answers. But every lead seemed to end in a dead end. Chapter 4: The Encounter. One night, after months of sleepless nights and relentless fear, I decided to face the figure head-on. In my dream, I found myself back in the attic, standing before the mirror. The air was thick with the metallic smell, and the figure stood behind me, its red eyes glowing with malevolent intent. This time, instead of running, I turned to face the figure. As I did, the room grew colder, and the whispers grew louder. The figure stepped closer, and I felt a cold hand grip my shoulder. It was as if the air itself was pressing down on me, suffocating me with its presence. I forced myself to speak, demanding to know what it wanted. The whispers grew louder, and I could almost make out the words. It felt as if 1,000 voices were speaking in unison, telling me to leave, to never return. But I couldn't leave, not without answers. I demanded again, and this time the figure's grip tightened. Pain shot through my shoulder, and I felt a chill seep into my bones. I could feel its hatred, its anger, and its desire to be free. Then, as suddenly as it began, the grip released. The figure stepped back, its red eyes fixed on me. I woke up in a cold sweat, my heart pounding in my chest. I knew then that the figure wanted something from me, something I wasn't ready to give. Chapter 5: The Acceptance. I realized that I couldn't escape the curse. No matter how far I ran or how much I tried to fight it, the figure would always be there, lurking in the shadows of my dreams. I had to find a way to coexist with it, to accept its presence in my life. I continued my research, but with a new perspective. Instead of trying to destroy the mirror, I focused on understanding the curse and finding a way to live with it. I reached out to others who had experienced similar hauntings, sharing my story and learning from theirs. Through these conversations, I found a sense of peace. I wasn't alone in my struggle, and there were others who had found ways to live with their hauntings. It wasn't an easy path, but it was one I was willing to take. The nightmares still come, but they no longer hold the same terror they once did. I've learned to face the figure with courage, knowing that while it may be a part of my life, it doesn't control me. The attic and the mirror remain a part of my past, a reminder of the strange and inexplicable things that exist in our world. So, if you ever find yourself cleaning out an old house and discover a hidden attic, heed my warning. Some secrets are better left undisturbed. But if you do find yourself cursed, know that you are not alone. There is always a way to live with the darkness, to find a path through the shadows. Thanks for watching. Subscribe Dark Films for more new stories.